Have you guys seen all these people running the custom audio? It is quite crazy. And I get it. I mean, Call of Duty doesn't have any restrictions against it either, so it's kind of like, all right, well, it's like using a controller with aim assist at the same time too. It's like I'm choosing to use a P. Maybe a little different there actually. No, there's more of an exception there because all right. So look, if I decide to use a mouse and keyboard, obviously I don't have aim assist. This is the most powerful thing in the game. This is why all the pros do it. All my PC friends who have switched or control mouse and key friends who have switched over to controller have done significantly better because of it. I think the bigger difference though, when you're and theoretically, if you're playing with mouse and key, you could do that on console as well. A lot of people do that. That you just plug it directly into your Xbox or your PlayStation and it works. Other people use third-party hardware in order to still have mouse and key with aim assist. That, as well as like things like Cronus, those are bannable now in Call of Duty. That's just been for the for the past year they made all those things against the rules now. But the difference though is if you're on PC, you do have an advantage. Just straight up being on a PC for the most part. If you have good enough specs, which isn't that hard to beat the specs of a PlayStation if you're going to have your own PC or Xbox, you have a better system. I now get 300 FPS because I have a very high-end system. When I dip from like even 280 to 240, maybe not as much, but because my monitor only goes to 240 anyways, right? But if I'm dipping from like 240 and my computer was before I tuned it all up, was dipping to 180, 160 even, I could feel the difference in it. I could feel the frame rate difference. So if you're talking about console, which is just capped at 120 in the first place, some people are still playing at 60. I'm sure they drop even below that from time to time on the games. I don't know completely. I played it on console. It does feel really good. I will say 120 is extremely good. A lot of those guys also play at 4K. So the quality is pretty damn good for a lot of it. There's also a lot of caveats there where a lot of the console players do get matched with more console players. I've seen some of the PC pros get on a console, like even Joe Well, he did a video on it recently, and he got a 50 kill PR on it because for the most part, if you're on console, it'll match you with more console players. There were some videos that like Jack Frags and a couple guys did testing this back in original Warzone, Modern Warfare as well, where they tested the inputs and like how skill-based matchmaking was working back then. And it was partly that. Obviously, there's still mixes it together, so it's not always the case. But regardless, you're going to have, in general, an advantage on PC in the first place. So this is a lot of, like, caveat before getting to the audio part, which I guess is the core of the question here. So on top of then already having an advantage on frame rate, now you can also get an advantage for audio through additional software and downloads. Do I think it's right? Is it good? I think as a whole for the game, it is not, especially the competitive side of it for like ranked and stuff, because then if you really want to compete in ranked, you kind of have to be on PC. You kind of have to tune your audio with all of this software and all of these solutions. Because none of that is actually bannable, this is then becomes the meta. It is the best way to play, and it's not even close, right? When you can hear footsteps substantially better than everybody else, even if you're not using like the audio perk, like there's a gigantic advantage to that. Now, personally, I just find it annoying. I hate the sound of it. Even if I watch like other videos or streams of it, it immediately just pisses me off. Like when I'm listening to it, it sounds so bad. It sounds so weird that I just don't like it. There was a setting that you could do for this back in even the previous CODs before everybody started doing the Art of War tuning, everything I'm talking about with them, where you would go into your PC settings. You could still do it, and you could just do loudness equalization, and it makes it so anything that's really loud, it's like an ultra compressor. Anything that's super loud, all of a sudden becomes majorly quiet, and anything super quiet becomes way too loud. And I tried it for a day, and I was so annoyed by it. I didn't even want to get used to it because it just made me so frustrated playing the game. I like to have the actual sounds. Now, On console, what people will also even do is they'll take their sound. That sound can still go through a mixer. It can go through some type of audio. I used to do this in order for my content capture back in the day even. Put it through my mixer so I can adjust the audio, and in that you can EQ it. I do that even with my own audio through all of the games that I play and everything. I EQ all of it so that I can, have it sound a little bit nicer for the stream. I do bring up some of the low sounds to make it a little better and make those super loud sounds come down so I don't blow my eardrums out when I crank the audio up. So there is something to that as well. You could do that on everything as well. But I think, to me, as a whole, like, should it be against the rules? Probably. I don't think it's necessarily the healthiest for the game, but it's the same thing with input mixing. I don't think that's necessarily the healthiest for the game, but it depends what you define as like healthy and where the game should even go. I think more so a lot of the restrictions, if anything, should be applied to ranked, because that's where, like, hey, this is where the big competition is. This is where everybody's sweating. This is where snipers are banned. They don't have a ton of different things in ranked in the first place. And they already limit things. But then again, they also don't even have custom games for ranked. They don't have any COD casting, so you can't do your own tournaments. For like Rebirth Island, right? You can't do that, and that's the main thing. They're completely focused on research, and you don't have any of that in the customs. They don't really even. I think they're doing World Series Warzone still, and I think that's still Big Map, where they're doing ranked for Resurgence. So like, I don't think the game even is really in. I've even seen competitive. I'm not super big into the competitive scene, but I've seen the competitive players complain about the lack of support for competitive and like wishing that the game was like Apex Legends with their ALGS series, which blows this game out of the water in so many regards. But I just don't think this game is super competitive in the first place. And even to the sake of input mixing, like I have a disadvantage to many regards on mouse. I understand that. And then I don't switch over because I just don't care. Like, I'm not trying to be a super competitive person in the first place. Like, I don't play ranked. I'm not competing on any of that level. So it doesn't matter to me if I'm going to try and switch inputs just to be the best Call of Duty player. I would rather just have fun in the game. And that's why, like, sometimes I'll complain about aim assist, but for the most part, I just play to my advantages. I play far away with a sniper rifle. If I see somebody in a building, I don't typically push them. I do run an SMG to try and counter all the close rangers, but I'll typically not push a building. I'll go away from a building and try and play it from range, bait them out, find some other way to engage that works to my advantage off of it. I just prefer to play with this input because then it also works with all the other games that I play. I play so many different games on computer, and I just find it to be more fun in general. And then when I do beat somebody who also has aim assist, I feel that much better and cooler because then I know that I'm, it's all natural talent over here. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, maybe to that same regard, I feel good even playing without, having fully tweaked out audio, and I'm not going, full hardcore. But I think the main reason that I haven't done it is just, I don't think it'd be great for the videos and for the content for the sake of watching it. And especially like if I tune it all up and I still am not like, I feel like I'd have to switch over to, I'd be smarter for me to switch over to controller before it made sense for me to switch over to the audio settings to have everything all fully tuned up, if that makes sense. And until this game really is competitive, whatever, I think the majority of people don't even know that this audio stuff exists. So they're never going to be mad about it in the first place. And until all of this stuff gets super, mainstream and there's more people doing it or people are aware of it and they complain enough to Call of Duty, I don't see them ever changing that. It took them years to even ban like the Cronus stuff where people have like auto recoil scripts on their controller. People do that all the time. And even to that same extent, it's like, all right, well, yeah, but you get an advantage for paying more money on PC. But the same exact thing is true, even if it's exclusive to console. You pay more money and get a controller that's got paddles on the back. Now you're better than all the players that don't have it.
I play to connect with friends at distance from where I live. The laughter we have messing around is worth the 3,000 deaths a game roll.
Hey, thank you for the stars, bro. Yeah, that's how I've mostly felt about the game. But even so, like I'd still say I'm above average. I'm still good at the game. And I think that's just because I'm good at mouse and key. Like I've learned enough over the time. But I still like to play and just like try a bunch of different loadouts. That's the thing that I fell in love with this game about. I thought I was going to hate it at first, and then I ended up loving the fact that you can have all of these different custom settings, builds, and ways to play the game. I wish there wasn't like such a strong emphasis on some of the metas and people that even sweat as hard as they did, but that's kind of why I like ranked too. And like I like to have them having their place. Go play in ranked if you guys want to, go crazy and try and be competitive, whatever. You got the place for it, and then I can just kind of meme around with everybody else that's just trying some fun stuff out in the regular game. At least that's my hope. Obviously, it doesn't always happen. And also they have nuke runs now, which actually I think is one of the coolest changes to this game that they've done. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't think Call of Duty is going to make any changes realistically to the audio though, or enforcing not having that effect on it. I think the thing that would actually change things and make an impact is if they had actual competition for the game where that was a banned thing. You could not have those audio tunes in competition. And like, say you went to a LAN and then you can't have your audio that you literally only know how to play the game because you have this audio effect on. That would, I think, eliminate a lot of it, at least at the higher levels of people that are playing. But yeah, it wouldn't really change much for for people just trying to get content on other people. And you know what, too? That brings in the topic of two-boxing that I just heard about. I don't know if I should do a whole rant on that right now as well or not. But yeah, I think that's good for now.